Thank you, Natalie. Perfect choice for today. Perfect choice. The theme for the year is a world that works for everyone. Our theme for June, for the month, is freedom from discord. And our topic for today is, what's your vision? What's your vision? Now, for any of us who have watched television or news on the internet, we know that the events in Orlando have taken place last week leave our hearts feeling heavy. We know that we have seen visions and scenes of chaos and violence. We have seen visions of sadness and grief and mourning and a perplexity that leads us to ask, what can we do about the discord that leads to this kind of atrocities? What vision can we hold that will make a difference in this world? Our teaching, The Science of Mind and Spirit, teaches that we create our reality. We do that as individuals, we do that as family units, we do that as communities, and we do that as the world. It is the combined thoughts of all of us that have created the opportunity for these things to happen. Everybody in the world. Ernest Holmes called it race thought. And that means that it's like everybody adds their thoughts, their visions, what they focus on to the pot, and then events arise from that. Now the good news is we can change our vision, we can change our thoughts, we can change what we outpicture. But I have to ask, is it any surprise, given the violence that we see in the news and as part of our entertainment, is it any surprise that atrocities like Orlando are happening? And is it time for us to do something different? And here's where our vision comes into play. What we have is an opportunity to gradually change, gradually up-level the content of this world thought that has created what we see today. It's like we each have a part, a little part, but a part. Think of a bucket of muddy water. You know, if you drop one drop of clear, pure water in it, it's not going to make a difference. If you drop 100 drops in, you're probably still not going to see any difference. Even 1,000 drops of pure water won't make that muddy bucket look clear. But if we keep at it, each one of us, if we keep at it, up-leveling our thoughts, calling for something different in our world, being willing to accept and really hold the vision of peace, then drop by drop, thought by thought, we make a difference in the world. And that's what our teaching is all about. Ernest Holmes said, "There is a law of unfoldment in humanity which says we can advance only by going from where we are to the place where we would like to be. This is not because the law is limited, but it is because it is law. As we unfold in our mentality, the law automatically reacts to us. The way to work is to begin right where we are, and through constantly applying ourselves to the truth, we gradually increase in wisdom and understanding. For in this way alone will good results be obtained." He went on to say, if day by day we have a greater understanding and a clearer concept, if daily we are realizing more of truth and applying it in our actions, then we are on the right path. and eventually we shall be made free. It's a wonderful experiment and a great adventure to make a conscious use of the law, to feel that we can plant an idea into the mind of God, and see it gradually take form. And so that's what we get to do. As we plant our ideas of peace, of acceptance into the greater mind, it responds to us. So how do we do that? As you may have guessed, I just happen to have some suggestions. Start from a place of recognizing the wholeness that is within you. That's what we are called to do. Far too often, we jump out into action because we think we have to do something. Often it's from a place of fighting against something, fighting against atrocities, fighting against lack, fighting against limitation. And that's really not the best place to start from. Sometimes we do things because we think we should, or other people think we should, but we're not really coming from our heart. Now, today we're kind of talking about having our visions on a big level, on a societal level. But everything I say here today applies on a personal level as well. We can use all of these tools to up-level our lives, our families, our workplaces, our religious and spiritual communities, as well as the larger world. To truly connect to our highest vision, we get to remember that we are expressions of the divine. We get to remember that we are made of the same essence as love. We get to remember that we are co-creators in our own lives, in the lives of the world, and that humanity is always spiraling upward. There is an evolution. Even though we see things like Orlando that are happening, even though we see like the deaths in Charleston last year, humanity is evolving. Some studies have been done that show that in spite of the fact that we hear about more violence, there is less violence in the world than 1,000 years ago, than 500 years ago, than 100 years ago. But it's in our faces, and it's hard to have a different vision when that's what we keep seeing. That's what we keep seeing. We sometimes think that we should form our vision, go into action before we connect with that place inside of us. And what I'd like to encourage you to do is take the time, take the effort to go within, to contact your wholeness, and to create your vision from that place. When we connect to the wholeness within us, we can let our vision emerge from that place. When we remember the love and the essence of who we are, we can then imagine that goodness and that love and that power and that acceptance flowing out into the world. And then from that place of being connected deep within, we can look at what we desire. We can look at what we want. What's your desire? What's your desire for yourself individually, for your family? What's your desire for our planet? What's your desire for each person that lives in our world? Maybe you're wanting on an individual level the strength and the courage to make some decision or to stand up for yourself in some way. Maybe you're wanting more peace and more joy in your family or your workplace. maybe what you're wanting is to protect the resources of our planet. Maybe your heart calls you to make our homes and streets and churches and nightclubs safer for everyone by working for some political cause, by working for gun safety, by working for gun control, by working for something else that calls to you. But we get to listen to our heart. Neville Goddard, who was a very wise New Thought teacher, wrote, "You must imagine that you are already experiencing what you desire." Because that's the trick, folks. If we can imagine, if we can feel that we are already living in a world of peace, change happens. Those are big drops in the bucket. Big drops in the bucket that can make a difference. When you can begin to see the fulfillment of your desire as absolutely accomplished, as here, now, even if you can only do this for a few minutes, when you can feel that it's alive, when you can feel the synchronicities that will come with it, then we are making a difference. Now, it might not seem like it. It might seem like, oh, this is just me. This is just me, and I'm imagining a world that works for all. But together, as community, we make a difference. And this is happening all over the world, folks. This is not just in our country. This is not just in our teaching, but consciousness is raising. Events like Orlando bring people to a place of saying, this has got to change. This isn't what we have come here for. And when you can raise your vibration, when you can get to that place of feeling the truth of what you want to manifest, then the law takes over. That part of God that we call the law, that has all the stuff and all the know-how to bring anything into manifestation, says, okay, this is the world you live in. This is the world you live in. It acts on our behalf. Here's an example. Say your desire is for the sharing of resources on our planet so that everyone has enough to eat. Imagine a world free from devastating hunger. Imagine that there is a week, and then 2, and then a month where there are no children going to bed hungry. Imagine a world free from the stress of parents having to wonder about and worry about not having enough food for their children. Imagine how the energy of the world would change if all people had enough good food to eat. Now, like anything, this level of imagination and mental visioning takes practice. We have to start where we are, just like Ernest Holmes said, because our world provides all of these distractions. I mean, we can find distractions wherever we can look. Often they're right in our hand. Yeah, there's mine. But that's not the case. I mean, we don't need to be distracted by that. We can make a difference. And we can trust that just as enough drops of clear water, enough drops of pure water can make that bucket of muddy water look clean, taste clean, we can trust that what we are doing, our little part, is making a difference. So here's something to try this week. Your assignment, should you decide to accept it. Take something negative that appears in the social media or in the news and use it as an opportunity to call forth the ever-present nature of good. Invest some deliberate time in changing your thought about something that you may have thought was negative and seeing it surrounded in light, seeing love, seeing a different outcome. For years, every time I heard a siren, I'd think, oh no, something's wrong, somebody's in trouble. And a couple of years ago, someone made this suggestion, several years ago, that I might want to change the way I react. And so now, if I hear a siren, and I've practiced this a lot, excuse me, if I hear a siren, my immediate reaction has become, oh, somebody's getting help. And it's a reminder to me to send light into the situation, to surround the people involved, even though I don't know what's going on, to surround the situation, the circumstances, with love and light. Because this is incremental work. We do it a step at a time, a thought at a time, a drop at a time. Kaizen, K-A-I-Z-E-N, is a Japanese word that means good change. The philosophy of Kaizen is attributed to Dr. W. Edwards Deming, who was invited by the Japanese industrial leaders and engineers to help rebuild Japan after World War II. And this philosophy is that it makes, if you make a little bit of difference, and then a little bit of difference, and then a little bit of difference, eventually you have made a big difference. So I encourage you to use and trust the concept of Kaizen, continuous incremental change, as you go about your spiritual practice. Just keep using your imagination to create the kind of world you want to live in. And trust, trust, trust that you are making a difference. Neville Goddard, who I quoted earlier, also said, imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, and then you believe it to be true. Every dream could be realized by those self-disciplined enough to believe. So most of us are drawn to make a difference in some way, in our families, in our workplaces, in our spiritual communities, and in the larger world. And so what we do as we work with our inherent nature to have empathy and to make a difference is that we get to use our thoughts, use the teachings of science of mind and spirit to up-level our lives and the world. As we pay attention, we'll notice ideas, hunches, synchronicities, opportunities, and of course, then we have to take action on those things. Now, I know you hear me say that often, that once we receive guidance, we gotta do something, because it doesn't do any good if we don't. Artist Lonnie Hansen's vision led him to create a Denver Pride Fest memorial for those slain in Orlando. Every year, Lonnie Hansen does some kind of a big visual thing for Pride Fest. And of course, Pride Fest in Denver was yesterday, and today it continues. So what he did was he created this 8-foot cube and painted it with blackboard, chalkboard paint. He then took just brilliant colors of chalk paint and painted the names of all of the victims from the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Then what he did is he has provided chalk paint for the people at Pride Fest to write their wishes, to write their hopes, to write their blessings, to share their light. He has said that his vision is to cover the blackness of tragedy with the healing energy of love. He said it's about standing up, and that it's solved with love, not blackness. It's solved with color, celebration, and love, not divisiveness and hate. So what's your vision? How is it that you want to make a difference in the world? For our vision of the world becomes the world that we experience. We have an opportunity here to contribute our gifts, to contribute our talents, to contribute our service to humanity. Requires that we start from a place of wholeness. Start from knowing that in the mind of God, there is a wholeness. We are already whole. We are already harmonious. That we are already here to work for the benefit of all. With this consciousness, we are guided not from a place of fighting against something, but we are guided to let the light within us shine, to let the love within us be shared. Working from a place of revealing the presence of God, the power of God, and the possibility of God in, through, and as us. Someone's here. Let's take that into prayer. As practitioners stand in high consciousness, holding us all in prayer. I'm so grateful that someone is getting help. I'm so grateful that light is surrounding whatever circumstance or situation or people are in the opportunity to receive help. I am so grateful for the people who are providing help. So grateful that we live in a world where there is possibility, where we live in a world where our thoughts do make a difference, where we do get to clean up the muddy water, where we get to share our love, where we get to share our consciousness. And so I hold and surround in love all those affected by the activities, the events in Orlando. I surround them in love, knowing that each person who gave their life gave it for the upliftment of consciousness, so that people will say, not enough, or never again, that's enough. And so I claim love surrounding all of this experience for all of us. I claim that each person here today goes forward into this week, going deep within themselves to find the wholeness, allowing their vision to come forth from that wholeness, from that godness, from that love. I claim for each person absolute guidance, knowing what is theirs to do, and absolute support in the doing of it. I am grateful, grateful, grateful for our teaching. Grateful for knowing that we can make a difference. And on this day that we celebrate fathers, I am so grateful for the love, for the guidance, for all that is received from our fathers. Whether the relationships are good or not, they have given us life. They have given us teaching. Sometimes it's learning what we don't want to do. But I am so grateful, 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 especially for the fathers in this room, knowing that they bring a consciousness to their fathering that is much needed in this world. So knowing that we are absolutely blessed, each one of us here, that we are each part of that one thing that I call God, knowing that we go forth blessed and powerful, I simply release my words, letting them be, letting them show up in our lives in powerful ways. And if you would like to claim this for yourself, I invite you to say with me, and so it is.
All right. Miss Reverend Jody, that